Welcome to the Global Gaming Business Podcast. My guest today is Alex Dixon, the CEO of Resorts World Las Vegas. Alex, it's great to catch up with you. And when I heard that you were appointed CEO here, I thought he's the perfect person to turn this place around. So congratulations.
No, thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you.
When we named you one of our 25 people to watch in 2022, we didn't think it would happen this quickly, but you certainly become watchable at this point. So let's start a little bit of your background. You're a longtime Vegas resident. Both your parents worked in the industry. How does it feel to return home?
Well, it's amazing to be able to come back. I pinch myself every day. And as you know, I'm a third-generation casino employee. I've lived here in Las Vegas. Was born and raised here, and so my grandmother came out in the mid-50s to work in the industry. She couldn't walk through the front door of a casino when she first got here, but had a long history of being a housekeeper. My dad was stationed here in Nellis Air Force Base, worked as a bar back, then bartender, then became a parole probation officer. But I grew up, in the burbs of Vegas.
Yeah.
We moved from the historic West Side and then have really flourished here in the community. And now there's 4 or 5 generations of us here in the area. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't be more excited to come back and to make an impact, not only within the community, but here at Resorts World Las Vegas.
Sure, no question about that. I want to talk about how that impacts your employees a little bit later. But let's talk about your experience in Iowa. I think you really made a huge impact there. And I know just you turned the casino around, but I think what you did to the community was really good at the Q Casino, which frankly I'd never heard of till you. Took over.
I never either. And so just for those who may be unfamiliar, so I served as the CEO of Q Casino and Resort in the Dubuque Racing Association. So it is a 501c4 organization, so that has a nonprofit status, so we don't pay federal tax. But in Iowa, every casino has to be associated with a nonprofit entity that takes a percentage of those revenues and distributes them out into the community in the form of grants. And so we served as both that nonprofit entity as well as an operating entity. And so we were a co-licensee with Diamond Joe, which is owned by Boyd Corporation. But when I got there, we had about $700,000 in retained earnings, because for the most part we give everything away.
Sure.
And 50% would go to charity, 50% would go directly into the city's coffers, which did very well for the community because we funded 10% of the city's budget, as you can imagine.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
But in order to run these businesses, we are a regulated utility, is the best way to describe it, and we're a pay-as-you-go country club. Okay. And if you're a member of a country club who didn't reinvest in its clubhouse, you would begin to lose members.
Sure.
And so in our case, we needed to reinvest in ourselves. So we split those profits instead of 2 ways. We gave a third went to charity, a third went to the city, and then a third went to redevelopment. And so with that, we extended our lease, so we could get a 30-year mortgage. And so we literally went on a development tear. And so by the time that the new hotel will be finished, we will have doubled the size of the company. And we took those return earnings from $700,000 to less than 2 years up to $7 million.
Wow.
We then reinvested that. And so now we're in the midst of $155 million of redevelopment activity that's taken place. A rooftop restaurant on top of a 7-story hotel. Redid our casino, introduced what's called Island Social. Think of it like a Dave & Buster's.
Sure.
We're bringing pin seekers. Think of it like a Topgolf, and then an outdoor amphitheater, all on land that is owned by the city, which used to be a landfill. So very proud of that. But there's so many elements of running one company that operated a property, and then taking under leveraged really real estate assets and bring them to the fore. And so much of that is what also we're going to do here at Resorts World Las Vegas.
Sure, no question. So I just got a press release yesterday saying the next phase of development is beginning in Iowa. So so they're still going strong, even though you're not with them anymore.
No, that's right. And so we developed systems in place so that nothing is like these buildings.
Sure.
Right. These things operate because we have a great team in place, and so. With the addition of our new board and here at Resorts World Las Vegas, including our chair, Jim Murren, in addition to the steady hand of Genting, based in Malaysia, we're putting all the right elements to create systems here that are going to help propel us into the future for years to come. And so I couldn't be more excited to be a part of the team.
Okay. So here you are at Resorts World Las Vegas, and as you know, it sits on the site of the old legendary Stardust. So I'm sure with your history here, you remember what the Stardust meant to the city. What does it mean to you to be able to operate this and try to make this as important as Stardust was?
Well, it puts in perspective, how our city has grown and grown up, and the evolution. And that we're all running a race, and so right now I have the fortunate opportunity to carry the baton of this physical site, but there's so many people who've been welcomed into the middle class by kind of coming in here, living out their American dream, whether it's working, whether it's coming here on vacation, or any type of engagement in business activities with all the conventions that we hold. And so I'm excited to contribute and to help lead and to put our mark collectively, not only on this space, but it's simply amazing because we're reminded that we have 40 acres of undeveloped land here at Resorts World Las Vegas. And so, I encourage people to bet on us, bet on Resorts World Las Vegas, because there's so much potential and so much rich history here.
Yeah, no question. So what was the first thing you did when you were appointed?
No, well, first is, look, I got down on my knees and thanked the good Lord, because this is, it's humbling. And I don't say that lightly, because this is nothing short of amazing. Nothing says that, born and raised here, and have moved around 7 times. And 3.5 years ago, when I was running a laundry company, did I think that I'd had the opportunity to come back. But I think, you work hard, you surround yourself with good people, you get lucky, right? You get lucky, right? And so to that end, that was the first thing. Really, the second thing is it is study the financial documents to be able to assess. And so I tell people all the time is follow the money, and look at them from the 3 different financial statements. That's from the income, cash flow, and the balance sheet, and you begin to get a perspective. And so, that's let's say from the technical piece. Then really start to ask questions and engage with people, engage with our leadership team, engage with the folks who own us in Genting, and develop those relationships and those one-to-one relationships. And now I'm still in the listening and gathering information in intel mode. But so much of this is really at our core, we operate a privileged license. Meaning this license to operate here is tantamount. And so there's a lot of reading, a lot of engaging, but it's very much listening and then getting to know that frontline team. And so spending time in the team member dining room, on the floor, shaking hands, kissing babies, doing all the things so that people know that they can approach you. Because I don't have all the good ideas. I brought a lot of stuff from Iowa, but a magic wand is not one of them, right? And so we need help. We need people. We need our partners. We need our restaurateurs, our unions. Everyone is going to help play a part in this. And we're going to be conductors to get people heading in the right direction, to build momentum and conviction. But those are the kind of the first series in any new opportunity, whether it was, I never ran a laundry company, and I ran one during COVID, right? You've got to, be humble, listen, be coachable. And those are all the things I continue to do, even though I'm in the leadership position.
Okay, great. So you mentioned Jim Murren, again, with the combination of you and Jim. Jim had of course, the great experience of leading MGM for all those years. So he knows Las Vegas like the back of his hand. How are you working with him so far?
Jim and I really forged our relationship in the midst of COVID. So Jim had left MGM, and I was running a laundry company that had no laundry to clean. So we had 30% unemployment within the state. The governor had asked him to say, hey, Nevada, although we've grown a lot, we're still a relatively small state on the global scale. And so I remember to this day, Jim gave me a call and said, hey, I'd like you to join the COVID-19 task force and then move forward. And so through that period of time when we were literally volunteers working together, that's how we developed our relationship, where Jim can open up doors on any continent, anywhere, at any time, right? And then where I really kind of cut my teeth with him is just helping to the day-to-day kind of operations to make sure things were running. And so it was a really match made in heaven. And so if you ever listen to the way that Jim talks about Kirk Kerkorian, right? That's the way that I speak about him.
Okay.
Because he is, he's a mentor, he's a friend, he's a competitor. And so I get to see him both in the public, but then in private. And then I get to see him. We were on Sunday supposed to be hanging out, just watching the game. Yeah. We both 15 minutes, watching the background, and then we hop right into business. You know? Right. And so we're both literally living here on property, and I'm inspired. I'm inspired to have a mentor who has done this job. Yeah. And even though I'm the CEO, what I'm excited about this opportunity is the chance to work and to grow and develop and be coached. And so more than anything else, that's just amazing about his impact. He serves on the board of Howard University, for instance, where I went to college. Right. That's the type of person and human he is, and it means a lot to me to be able to work with him.
Okay, great. So let's get some of the negatives out of the way that is certainly still surrounding this property. There have been some irregularities with the way players were handled, finances, things of that nature. What have you done to ensure that won't happen again?
Well, so much of that work started well before even I joined. And so the team has done a phenomenal job at making sure that we make the corrective actions. But we take responsibility for the things that we need to control. And so we're actively working with the Gaming Control Board and others to make sure that we can turn the page. And so we're closely working through that. Once we get everything resolved, we'll be able to more publicly talk about all of the comprehensive actions that we've taken. As you can imagine, installing this new board that is local, as well as having new leadership in place, and we continue to take our privilege license as just that, a privilege license. And so we're grateful for the state, for our partners at the Gaming Control Board and the Commission, who've continued to be great partners as we work through these elements. But we're excited about turning the page here into the future. And our team members, the 5,000, as well as the $4.5 billion invested from Genting, has done phenomenal things for our community, as well as our economy in the midst of COVID, when we were one of the largest construction projects going. We're grateful to be able to turn the page on this chapter and focus on the so many elements of this property and of this company that are doing amazing things, not only in our community, but as well as the broader Las Vegas landscape. So
I think undeniably this property got off to a slow start, but obviously it opened during COVID, which didn't help. But did the fact that you didn't have much of a database affect that also?
Absolutely. I mean, I think you just think about Las Vegas history and just think about the trajectory of even a property like the Cosmopolitan, right? It took it a while for it to get to be what it is today. Right. And so any property that opens on the Las Vegas Strip that doesn't have a built-in database, right, it's going to take time to ramp.
Sure.
And so we are going to work like the Dickens to activate this space, to develop partnerships, and to mature as an organization. But when you have patient capital like we do with Genting Berhard, as well as just a great leadership team in place, and the bones, I mean, we're here sitting in LA 66 overlooking the Las Vegas Strip. I mean, this rivals the best venue in Las Vegas. And so we have to tell our story. And so much of what we're doing here today, as well as what I've done over the last couple of weeks, is to make sure that we remind people that, hey, we have 3,500 hotel rooms. We have the best spa. We have the best gym. We have the best undeveloped land potential on Las Vegas Boulevard, meaning we have 3,500 rooms, but we could build up to 10,000.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
We have 40 acres of land with an underutilized parking garage, with a great generator as well as physical plant that has more capacity to build and grow. And so I think it's a little bit premature to be, kind of ruling out Resorts World Las Vegas, because the best is yet to come.
Sure. let's talk about some of the great things you just mentioned there. Let's start with entertainment. I mean, that's been the hallmark of this property with all the great stars you have. You just announced a couple of new residencies, so obviously you're going to keep that level of entertainment up
and take it even to new heights.
Yeah.
2 words: Janet Jackson.
Right.
Again, I'm dating myself, but I'm a fan, and was able to be there at opening night. I think this is the best presentation of her hits and who she is.
Right.
And so we're thankful to our partners at AEG. Carrie Underwood will be coming back. We just announced Tina Fey and Amy Poehler who will be coming. We announced literally just 2 days ago a partnership with Mr. Beast, where we're gamifying his well over 300 million followers. He's the largest influencer in the world, speaking to a different demographic.
Sure.
And then all of the performers that we have at Zook. So just this past weekend, we had Nelly, had the opportunity to be my childhood idol, Snoop Dogg, and we had T-Pain, Millennium, who performs in there throughout the course of the year. And so it is just simply amazing. The assets not only that we have, but the activations that we do.
Sure.
And then I think more broadly is if you're living in Summerlin, you can come right down that Summerlin Parkway, and you can get to us before you get, into the throes of the property. We have the best vegan restaurant really in America. Crossroads.
Let's talk about the F&B.
Yeah, the F&B is just
that's another hallmark of the property here.
Yeah, no, I mean, you think about my good friend Sean Christie and Carver Steak is really the anchor, kind of down there. But Breza, Fuhu, which is doing amazing. The Famous Eats, which is our version of this food hall. You can get foods from all over the world within there. We're sitting in LA. We've got a great partnership with Click 8 Lounge, which is the best cigar lounge, let's say, in Las Vegas. Right. Mark Davis and Max Crosby are down there all the time. Right. But Nora Junior's, great, my old stomping grounds from Brooklyn.
Sure. Right.
And so it's just we're very proud of all of the different food and beverage offerings, and we got more to come.
Yeah.
Jeremy Ford and Stubborn Seed will be opening here within the next month. We're going to have a great hot pot concept that is Copper Sun that is just simply amazing. So there's so many stories to tell, and it's amazing. Once you get people to property, people are amazed, number one, by the size, but two, by the quality.
Yeah.
The hotel product is second to none. And so I just can't wait to continue to shout from the rooftops about all our great assets.
Great. So you also have 3 different hotels on the property. You have the Hilton, the Crockfords, and the Conrad. What's the difference between them, and how do you mark that all together? Because they're all 3 different levels. How does that work?
That's right. It's one of our greatest assets because if you could imagine, as we grow our database, we have the ability inside the same building to be able to deploy marketing interventions at 3 different price points in order to be able to incent customers who want to come and stay. So you can imagine, look, everyone would love to have the super high-end business, and we're competing for that. Our Crockford's property is literally second to none, and we have beautiful villas, we have beautiful palaces, and we have a beautiful program as well as offering at our Forbes 4-star level. We're shooting for 5-star, and so we're going to get that, and we're going to be able to compete on that high end. That Conrad, this is where we're going to really lean into in the coming months and years for that mass premium, whether it's slot or table games customer. We're going to activate our partnerships with Resorts World New York, Bimini, and Catskills, as well as others throughout the industry who want to have a home on Las Vegas Boulevard. Right. And so you could imagine when we go out and send an offer, if we have the ability to have 3 different price points in which a customer could book a room, provides us the ability to talk to a broader swath of the American public and as well as international customers. And so if you are loyal to Hilton, we have something for you. If you're loyal and want to explore and step up into Conrad, we can get there. But if you're coming in and you want to open up, several $1 million credit line and have a tremendous experience inside of our villas and our suites, we have that as well. And so that diversity of offerings I think is a competitive advantage. And so as we introduce the Resorts World brand to a broader swath of both locals as well as regional and national customers, I think we're going to find that as we deploy that asset, it's going to be a competitive advantage for us to incent gamers specifically to come here to Las Vegas.
Okay, great. I was staying at Croxford's in Sentosa in Singapore, and what a great hotel that was. I'm sure you have the same quality here.
We do. And so I'm visiting, I'll be in Malaysia later next month, just to engage with our partners to make sure that we are partnering together so that we can send business this way. And if people want to get exposed to the rest of the properties inside the Resorts World umbrella, there's connectivity. And that's a big part of the overall business plan.
Absolutely, great. So experts say you have the best spa on the Strip. We're saying a lot. There's some great spas on the Strip, but you have the best one according to some of the experts.
We do, because when you come here, particularly as people come as couples, or there's a trailing spouse, or there's let's say that leisure, business plus leisure traveler, there's a lot of opportunities for couples to be able to interact in a common area and common setting. And so it's funny, Sandra Douglas Morgan, president of the Raiders, she texted me like right before I started. She said, "Hey, I'm at the spa. It's awesome, right?" And I mean, that's literally one of those assets. And so we're going to continue to invest to expand that offering. And so we're excited about the products that we have to differentiate. But yes, I remember there was a local property that had some really great day pass opportunities, but we've taken it to the whole nother level here at Awana, and I really encourage people to make that trip to be able to go check it out, because it is simply amazing, the services, the offerings, the team, the level of quality. But we then there's literally offerings that we do that no one else on the Strip is doing, and so I'm so excited about for that.
And you have incredible pool areas too. There's again different levels of pool areas.
Yeah, the infinity pool that overlooks the rest of the Strip, again, is just simply amazing. And so for our guests who are staying, this is a differentiated offering. And so we've got different areas for people throughout the property where they can engage. I mean, some of these villas have their own private pool that is just simply breathtaking. And so that's that diversity of offering, we think, is a competitive advantage. And so we're excited about it.
Yeah, no question. So let's talk about the meetings and conventions business. Obviously, this hotel was really built for that. It's crucial to your success. You're close to the Las Vegas Convention Center. You have hundreds of thousands of square feet of meeting space on your own. Are you happy with the way it's been booked now, or are you looking to even increase that?
Yeah, we need more space. I mean, I think we need more space. I mean, even with our proximity to the convention center, it is one of the things that is a bright spot for our property. With that connection with Hilton, it's a natural partnership. And so we benefit from that. We have a great sales leader, Jason Glasscock, and the team do a phenomenal job. And we need more space. But what is amazing is that our connectivity to the Las Vegas Convention Visitors Authority, into the convention halls through the Vegas Loop. We were the first stop on that boring tunnel. And so I had the chance to go over to the South Hall during the Vegas Chambers event that they held not too long ago. And this is something that we're going to continue to lean into, because as more locations get added to that Vegas Loop, here us at the mothership are going to benefit from that traffic activity, because someone could be in the South Hall and be at Wally's for a power lunch, like literally within minutes. And so that is a competitive advantage of not only leading into technology, but as well as leading into this multimodal transportation. And so excited to see how that business continues to flourish, because we are, just as you said, are centrally located. We're right across the street from the Wynn and Encore, and have an opportunity to really leverage that even further.
That concludes the video version of this podcast. For additional information, please click on the audio version to get a few more minutes of conversation with Alex Dixon. To read more about the topic presented in this week's podcast, visit ggbmagazine.com. To subscribe to GGB's executive summary, go to ggbnews.com and sign up. Don't miss any edition of the GGB podcast. Subscribe on Spotify, Amazon, or Apple Podcasts today. So we'll see you next time on the GGB podcast.